Okay, just let me uh, introduce myself, and actually the last session for the sessions of webinar that were already presented. The last one will be dedicated to intellectual property management within the call, and especially within the requirements to the proposals. So my name is Maya Otchunash, and I'm a legal officer and intellectual property lawyer um, at EIT Urban Mobility, where we dealing with supporting startups and our partners with detection, recognition, protection, commercialization of their main intangible assets. Yeah, so let me move to the next slide. Okay, yes. So we will be discussing mainly um, two blocks of questions. First of all, concepts, just to be on the same page when we are dealing with different um, uh, definitions of intellectual property, of innovations, especially in the context of the call and Horizon Europe requirements, and in the context of inputs, results, impact for Horizon Europe. And the second block will be dedicated to the specific requirements within the call and best practices in drafting your proposals and addressing intellectual property questions, strategies within your proposals. Okay, so let me be a bit poetic at the beginning. So, and to illustrate this painting of Pierre Modigliani, Broadway Boogie Woogie, that could serve as an illustration of how actually innovations could work as threads to connect different pieces of urban movement and to lead to the synergy of the whole urban movement in general. So that's basically highlights that innovations elements are everywhere. But let us just understand, what do we consider under the concept, under the definition of innovation? Because it's often used word, as we all work in innovations, work for innovations, and just to be on the same page, and especially addressing the legal or regulatory definition of this concept. The legal definition actually was discussed for a long time and only recently was approved. And we could say that it's a common one for almost 70 countries globally. Between the WIPO organization, IPO, UPO, and general standards that are harmonized, let's say, across borders. So innovation could be understood as, well, it's a high level definition, yes, because it's detailed in a legal document, but that's basically new or changed entity realizing or distributing value. In terms of introduction and application, so that's the key takeaways, new or improved, significantly improved product, services, processes, methods, business models, with the aim or with the result to positive changes in our social value. So basically, that's not a process, but it is considered, understood as an outcome. Yes, so that's the innovation concept in general. To align this concept with intellectual property, so let's look at actually at the concept or definition of intellectual property, which is also harmonized between most of the countries in the world within World Intellectual Property Organization. So high-level definition consists of understanding intellectual property as creations of mind. Yes, human mind, with this disclaimer, not AI mind. Yes, in the industrial, scientific, literature, and artistic fields. So different areas of human activities. Some examples. So we can roughly divide intellectual property on two blocks: industrial property and creative property. Yes, so within the block of industrial property, we can talk about inventions, know-how, trade secrets, everything that could deal with improvement of technologies. Also, industrial and creative designs could be also categorized this way, and company reputation and goodwill, yeah, is also considered as innovation, intellectual property um, by definition. On other hand, creative works are defined as artistic works and also can be defined as intellectual property. And one more block could be seen as non-traditional intellectual property, for example, knowledge or people. Yes, so all these elements, all these assets also can be defined within the concept of intellectual property, because if we deal with the concept of intangible assets, that's basically intellectual property that is valorized within the financial reports, and that's financial or economic term. Invention and innovation. So don't confuse these two concepts because they are different, and often there is often a misconception that the invention, that's basically innovation, which is not true. So invention, that's basically new and inventive improvement or deliver of new product, which is recognized via granting a patent or not granting a patent and keeping it secret. But at least two requirements should be met to detect whether your idea is actually invention. That should be novelty and inventive step. Yeah. And innovation, by contrast to invention, that's basically the implementation your invention in the product or the process or the, so that's the next step when your invention basically come to the industry, go to the market, and eventually delivering an impact. Yes, so the invention in this context must go to the process of valorization, assessment, um, assessing its market readiness, putting it on the product and on the market, and delivering the tangible value. Yes, so that's basically this process of transforming invention to innovation. Because we all know that we have all brilliant ideas, and there are millions of ideas on the market, but they could never make it to the market, right? So that's the important to went through this process. And to understand intellectual property rights, that's basically not intellectual property, but rights that work as a shield. Yes, so don't confuse intellectual property or invention with actually patents. Yes, because patents, that's basically a tool. They are tools to protect your inventions. And we could draw these lines between inventions that could be protected by patents or utility model or secrecy, if you wish, or if it's it's part of your strategy, let's say. Also, any designs which are creative or original could be protected by specific registered design rights or know-hows or also secrecy. The same could be applied for protecting goodwill or reputation of the company. So in our illustration, that's registered trademarks of EIT Urban Mobility or your own trademark that could be registered if it's not registered yet. And for we also have specific protection for software or for other creative elements of your business ideas like copyright, database rights, the tools, they are tools that could protect this part of your business. We should understand that all these intellectual property rights, they have time limitations, right? So, for example, patents could be valid only for 20 years, for trademarks normally 10 years, but you can prolong it if once you feel would like to continue your business under this trademark. But patents cannot be prolonged. Yes, so that's the expiry date, 20 years. Also, copyright, they also have limited protection. So one point. And the second point, we need to understand that all these rights, they are national rights, which means that when we draft our proposal, where we draft our IP business strategy, we need to understand the markets when we are going to implement the projects, we are going to commercialize the technology. So because if we are dealing with specific markets, we can protect, we can get the protection for this market. Unfortunately, there is no such international patent. Yes, so we have European patents which are not then harmonized yet, and basically you need to apply for several countries, and which means that you need to detect your targeted countries in advance. The same works for trademarks, for design rights. By contrast, copyrights, the beauty of this tool, that's it has automatic protection, so there is no need to register your copyright for at least it's not mandatory. However, there are options of voluntary registration which could be applied, of course, too. So what is the rationale behind intellectual property rights? Why do we need this? Basically, legislator implemented these tools far ago. Yes, so to benefit society, so basically to incentivize people to innovate, encouraging creativity innovations. Also disclosure to the public. Once we file a patent application, we basically disclose our technology, right? So for that's benefiting for society, and others can build upon that. At the same time, patent owners can prevent others to commercialize this without their permission, so-called monopoly rights. Also, it supports transparency, openness, and avoiding secrecy. Yes, so once again, benefiting society and benefiting innovators in terms of these monopoly rights. So the deal is, IP deal is that from one side, patent owners, innovators are invited to disclose their innovations, opening the details of their technology to the public, and stimulating this way innovations. On the other hand, while getting the patent on this technology, basically inventors getting monopoly rights on this specific technology, which means that they can prevent others to implement the very same solution technology within a specific market, in the specific projects and services. Of course, within limited period of time, it works only, and that serves as a guarantee of return of investments, the efforts that were made to create the technology, to develop this idea, to go through the implementation process. So it should all be rewarded, and especially funding, right? Yeah, so why do we need intellectual property within Horizon Europe framework, and how do we recognize the element of intellectual property and how we should manage these assets within the project? So we can see that the interplay between intellectual property and innovation. So an innovation serves as a broader term, and IP, especially IP rights, they can be illustrated as more narrow term, and Horizon Europe framework is the general framework. If we look at the citation from new European Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education and Youth this year, um, investing in research innovation is investing in our future, stating that basically protection investment in developing your innovation, protection your innovation, that's strategic, the part of strategy of European strategy and the strategic question per se. And if we look at all three pillars, of course, we are located at the third one, but the innovation element is located everywhere, essentially, which means that intellectual property as a narrower concept is also present in every pillar and every element of these blocks. If we look at the time frame or the frame of the line of development of the project, we can see that intellectual property is basically key asset in a project, starting from the creation, the idea, getting the funding, developing this solution within the project, getting the results of the project, which are essentially intellectual property results. Could be knowledge, IP rights protected or not, that's another question, but by their nature, that um, they are results of the project, intellectual property results. Also management, intellectual property management of all these intangible assets in a broad understanding during from the beginning of the project to its end. Also, the element of intellectual property sits within the dissemination and communication plans and activities. And of course, in innovation stage, when we actually implementing all these services and projects and processes and putting them into the market and um, delivering value, basically. Yes, so it can be scientific, economic, social value. So here in the call, we actually targeting quite ready solutions, right? So marketed innovation is according to our KPIs. If we look at this time frame, I won't dive into every element, just I want to state here that the element of intellectual property management sits everywhere, starting from the idea and the concept of the project, basically from your proposal, right? That's the essential part, the initial one, when you should introduce your idea in the way that it could be viewed as the one that could bring, that could go through all this process of implementation, ensuring that you detected, recognize the value, your valuable intellectual property asset, that you do understand what strategy are going to implement, how you're going to protect, what measures you're going to implement to protect, and basically in which way you're going to enter the market, and how you're going to deal with your competitors, essentially. So during the project, IP strategy will be also assessed together with dissemination exploitation measures, because intellectual property is also sit there. Because if we are talking about exploitation or dissemination of the results, we are talking about intellectual property exploitation and dissemination. Then at that stage, you should understand what actually what results are you expecting, and Of course, at the end of the project, it's a new requirement of Horizon Europe framework that's mandatory obligation for all beneficiaries to deliver so-called mandatory results ownership list, right? So when you must detect the main owners of your results or intellectual property results, understand the title of these results and the main owners, any actions to take in order to assign some rights, license, and so on. And if some mandatory deliverables are absent, we all know that it could block the final payments, of course. And even more, last but not least, even after the project, Horizon Europe actually implements specific rules to monitor the process of implementation of all these project results or intellectual property results, um, uh, let's say all journey even after the project. And you also need to understand that we are not talking only about 1 year of this project, but we need to understand the whole life cycle and actually how you're going to deal with any obstacles after the projects, or any plans, any strategic plans, how to commercialize your assets, your solutions. Yeah, that's also mandatory requirement. Okay, so IP is localized basically in Horizon Europe in inputs and outputs of the projects. It can be research data, reports, databases. Yes, so don't limit yourself only to understanding of invention. So, okay, we have an idea, and basically it will be an invention. We are going to apply for invention. That's great. But in addition to that, we also can consider that all research data, all databases that you are creating or already created before even the project, it also can be recognized as a valuable intangible asset for your project. Of course, know-hows, algorithm solutions in a broad sense, also even networks and trained people, so knowledge also can be considered as an intangible asset within your business model. For example, during the project, it can be expertise, solution, know-how, and even funding as an input of the project. And as a result, we could see any platforms or SaaS as logistics solution or inventions as a result of the project. And impacts could be defined as successful implementation of such solutions. Could be improvement of public transport infrastructure, or putting on the market some invention, implementing this invention, the products and services, and their commercialization. So basically impacts are dealing with the longer, wider effects, specific contribution that should be actually detected at the very initial stage, at least expected contributions and expected use of your results of this project. So let's say the impact justification should be explained in every stage of your proposal, especially dealing with intellectual property rights. And now we are moving to the second block of the questions. That's basically about how we should address intellectual property elements within our proposals according to the call requirements. So what do we understand under IP protection, IP landscaping, IP strategy? We will also have some specific examples and good and bad practices. Okay, so if you look at the call manual, of course, and the main requirement of the call, you at least at 3 sections, we could see the intellectual property required to be addressed. For example, in topics, yes, so when we're speaking about 3 topics of the call, all of them are mentioning so-called scalable solutions. right? New projects, components, and improved functionality. So that's basically intellectual property, intangible assets, right? So that should be recognized in the proposals within the topic section and as specific as possible, of course. When we're dealing with technology readiness level, so we need to understand that we are actually funding the solution that are close to market. So the solution that are still not mature enough, well, we need to test them via this specific technology readiness level assessment. KPIs, of course, also marketed innovation and IP. That's actually the main KPIs. That's also at the importance of addressing intellectual property questions within your proposal. Specific session 3.5 on intellectual property, of course, when we're dealing with IP landscape and protection and strategy, and I will give you more examples afterwards. And section 5.2, quality evaluation, that's also essential. So how actually evaluators will assess your proposals in terms of excellence and impact at least. And intellectual property strategy and elements actually also sit there in terms of novelty and innovation. As soon as one, you will justify the novelty of your solution and its innovative effect, as we understand that's important for impact and value delivery. So it could give you 15 points, right? So it could be done via delivering specific analysis of your competitors of competing technology or solution on the market, so-called FTO analysis. We will also discuss it later. Also could be within the trademark clearance, patent applications, whatever you have to justify the level of readiness of your solution to enter the market. And impact section, that section that's basically your justification of the strategy in terms of exploitation, dissemination, and commercialization of your assets, intellectual property or solutions that could be described within your intellectual property strategy section, specifically defining protection measures for your solutions. Okay, so Horizon Europe, that's basically the mantra from this framework that all beneficiaries must implement their best efforts to protect and commercialize their main valuable intellectual property assets. So that's all about best efforts, and the evaluators will definitely assess whether your efforts are good enough, in this sense. If we look a bit on the statistic from European Patent Office and European Intellectual Property Office, from the recent one, I would say, we may see that basically startups that do register intellectual property rights obtain seeds and early stage investment earlier, faster, and they can ensure reward for investors and ensure their successful exit in IPO or assignment to another company. And it can be done via registration, not only patents, but other assets that you have. It can be designs or trademarks, right? So not necessarily patents. And it could give a more than twice a high likelihood of successful exit for investors. Okay, so if we look at the innovation value chain, we can see this chronology, right? So to understand the life cycle of developing your idea and basically from its creation to commercialization. So in terms of call, we use this term as IP landscaping. Yes, so IP landscaping it essentially can mean that you explain your idea in specific words, specific terms, defining, detecting your valuable assets or your valuable solutions, and selecting between all existing, let's say the most valuable. Yes, so that's creation and assessment stage. And within your strategy, you need to understand, you need to illustrate or introduce the third stage, how you're going to protect your main solution. So what tools, yes, what intellectual property tools or intellectual property rights you're going to implement in order to make your solutions ready for market and protectable. Patents, trademark designs, copyright, or secrecy also can be a solution. And of course, commercialization stage. So basically all these stages are answering the questions, and when you will be drafting your IP strategy you need to answer this question, whether all these actions are suitable, efficient to support exploitation of your solution, of main results of your project. Examples. Yes, so if we're dealing, for example, with a solution that's essentially technology based, right, or product based, so the main IP assets could be software, hardware, and also brands, yes, and reputation of your company in general. For software, it can be new technologies, improvements of existing, because we all know that actually almost 90% of all novel solutions are improvements of the existing ones, right? Can be databases, can be even website interface and content that can also be detected as a intangible asset, which can be protected or not. Hardware, also new or improvement of existing ones, can be designs or trade secrets. And brands and reputation that essentially comprises of logos, slogans, marketing materials, all content that you consider essential for marketing campaigns, designs, and company general recognition. And the tools that you can introduce as efficient to protect all these blocks of your intangible assets could be for software, copyright, yes. Normally, we all know that in Europe, we cannot, in general, protect our software or technology solutions that are software based by patents. But we do have examples that if your specific solution is computer based, so-called technology implemented software. So we also have these cases in European Union to get the patents on them. Hardware normally protected by patents, but also can be protected by design rights to protect your original appearance or of your products or elements of your solution. And brands' reputation are normally protected by trademarks, which can be registered for all European countries or on country-to-country basis. Also by design rights and copyright in some cases for content materials and so on. Also for mass systems, so when we essentially dealing with the databases and applications, so any commercially valuable information, compilation of this information, or even a website interface and content can be recognized as an intellectual property asset. Also algorithms, right? Technology algorithms, software AI systems, and trade secrets, and the same brands and reputations. And the same tools can be applied as an NDAs or copyright for databases and apps, because that's especially interesting for platforms, for solutions that are based on platform delivery, service delivery, when data is actually the main asset of such solution. So you should introduce the tools to protect this data, definitely. Also, within the context of AI-based solution, we all know that new regulation does implement extra requirements, strict requirements to ensure trustworthiness of your system. Uh, in the Horizon Europe requirements, we also have specific requirements that will be assessed by evaluators if your solution is AI-based, like tech robust, accurate system. You must explain if it's socially robust also, and the level of transparency of your solution, trustworthiness, right? Okay, and IP strategy, that's essentially the criteria or uh, the evaluators, how actually evaluators will look at your IP strategy in the proposal. They will look at these strategies through the lens of impact, right? Whether you do introduce, whether you do detect the main measures to maximize this impact of your solutions. So if your strategy for management and commercializing of your solution is comprehensive, feasible, do you implement protection measures? Via which actions? How can you justify that? Which exploitation measures should be taken? And basically, if your strategy can commensurate with pathways to outcomes in general. That's basically thinking beyond the project. Yes, so as we saw before, uh, for funded project, Horizon Europe even catch the whole journey of your solution after that. So that's basically um, uh, what money for, right? So to understand the impact, the result of your implementations, whether your solution is unique, right? So you also need to explain this question, whether you can protect this uniqueness via specific intellectual property rights, patents, or maybe secrecy in some point. You need to understand your market. You need to understand your competitors. So you need to define this in strategy and prevent any IP disputes, internal disputes between partners. Yes, which is also important. Drafting your results of ownership lists and so on, and external disputes from third parties, from competitors in the market. IP management for impact and partners' interest. So that's basically the interest for your own interest to manage and to recognize and protect all these assets in strategic way before starting the project. It would also, the evaluators will assess the long-term leverage from investment. Yes, how we are going to maximize it, and the level of tech upscaling, whether you will license your solution after the project as a part of your strategy, or and how, which would give your also would give you chances to enter this the last stage of investment from our cult including. Okay, so to provide you more information on so-called freedom to operate, which is not mandatory requirement in our call. However, we highly recommend to actually prepare yourself, because that's your own interest to assess your own technology in terms of its readiness, assess your competitors and markets. So that's the questions, the scope of claims. So basically, freedom of operate, that's the research. Yeah, so that search of similar or identical solutions on the market via criteria. Yes, so you need to understand the scope of your technology. Yes, what are you going to cover, and within the scope to identify your main competitors. Also, jurisdictions. We cannot cover globe at the moment, probably, yes? Or maybe you're ambitious and you can justify that your solution is globally innovative, globally novel. So you need to define this in your strategy and explain jurisdictions that you are going to cover. Understand if you have competent technology on the market, whether your competitors possess any patents in force, whether these patents are valid, whether they can basically stop you. Yeah, so that's the main question that freedom of rate analysis may answer to. And this question is crucial for due diligence of your solution in general. That's the best practice and highly recommendable, especially in the context that we found the solutions that are close to market and not only general abstract ideas with no justification of actually where this technology sits. I will provide you a small disclaimer that this picture actually from the football match that was done in Paris before the last one. So yes, okay. And IP strategy FTO example. So let's just imagine that, let's just see this interplay, right, between your technology and the technology that are more general ones that they are already implemented on the market or applied for a patent also could be a possibility. So all bicycles and H2 bicycle, right? So as a general concept, a narrow one. FTO analysis, all these homework or strategy approach to your intellectual property assets and solutions answers the question. You cannot ignore others' solutions in the same industry, right? So you need at least assess the solution and explain why yours is unique, novel, different, and better, ideally, right? So FTO analysis basically reveals the valid patents of your competitors, which are in force and within your market. Yes, so you're narrowing the search for the specific question that you can set for your technology. Why? Because your H2 bicycle cannot be marketed once there is a technology for all bicycles. Yes, and you could be prevented to enter this market by these general competitors. Of course, it can lead to any actions, different actions. You probably at this stage when you face these results, one way is to redesign your technology, redesign your solution, redraft it, could be, or license or cross license. So actually partnership, which also can be beneficial or a win-win story, right? You may sell your tech solution, you can wait, and well, also possibility if these patents are almost outdated, or for example 1 year is left, we don't know. Yes, it's also part of an assessment. Or also you can challenge their patents if you consider that your technology is more new, or you consider that you were first. There are possibilities, right? So it will depend on the result of FTO analysis. As I said, that's not mandatory requirement, but it's a specific one, and it would be in specific cases we may request this FTO analysis for the solution that need to be assessed additionally, or especially don't confuse patents with a patent application. That's essentially because we may see that other competitors applied for patent only, right? So that's not. It doesn't mean that they will get the patent. There is no guarantee, right? Okay, and in your proposal, so section 3.5 when drafting your proposal, you basically need to explain your solution, providing brief description of your solution and the title and ownership. That's essential, as we see from Horizon Europe requirement. Yeah, to understand whether that's actually mandatory to define your commercial partner as a owner of your solution, and not third parties, right? Not some natural person who is an inventor, has no contract with the company, which could be a problem at some point. Legal status of your solution. So probably you already applied for a patent. That's brilliant. Or if you already was granted a patent, that's congratulations, actually. So of course it's beneficial if you can specify that in your proposal in very clear terms, not replacing actually the term of patent application by patent itself, which are different. We all know that. So please be specific, state that we are on the stage of patent application, or we are at stage of actually patent examination, also can be a possibility. And commercialization, which could be explained or justified by a specific FTO analysis, explaining obstacles, also challenges on the market, and how your risks, your competitors, as we see, and providing this assessment as a part of the strategy. It can give you 15 points in the excellence, and impact also 15 points. Finalizing our webinar, let me introduce here bad and good practices when drafting your proposal for intellectual property section. So please don't generalize your solution. We understand that 2000 characters are probably not enough, of course, but be specific. By contrast, be specific in order to detect the level of readiness of your solution for the market. Bad practice, providing third-party solution without authorization. That's why we need to understand the ownership of your solution. So please be specific, explaining who the owner, who the main inventor. If it's an employee of your company, if it's a director, CEO, it should be explained and brief description of measures that were taken to transfer these rights to the company should be also provided. And intention to patent versus claiming to have a patent, it's essential too. So be specific about the stage of the protection or the legal status of your solution. If you have a patent application, please specify that's public information. So you are not disclosing any trade secrets on commercially valuable information by stating that. So if it's already applied, just specify the number, the date for us to double check it. And justifying commercialization and impact. So it's all part of FTO analysis or just due diligence about the level of your solution, including costs, including benefits, and action that you are going to take to commercialize all your solution on the market. Okay, so thank you so much for your attention. It was a rather detailed webinar. I hope it will be helpful for all of you. I would like to invite you for a Q&A session, and I would like to state that, of course, we also ready to answer all questions that you probably will have after this webinar, contacting us with this specific email, and we will support you with your intellectual property journey. Thank you.
Maya, we currently don't have any questions in the Q&A, so we give everybody a minute or two to add their question. If there are no questions, as Maya mentioned, you can contact us via this email address on your screen.
No, not so far.
Nothing just yet. I think it was all very clear, Maya. Okay, we have one question here. If an employee has an idea, how can he protect the IP of that from that company exploitation?
Wow, very good question. Yes, very good one. I like it. Thank you. Um, the question is, are you going to develop this idea within the operations of your company, meaning using the main facilities of this company, let's say laboratory, um, databases, know-how, or knowledge that you actually gain during working at this company. Yeah. So if the answer is yes, and you are actually are going to use all these elements to develop this idea, I would say that you would have problems with protecting your idea as your personal idea apart from the company. Why? Because if it's valuable and if it will be are going to be a commercialized part as your personal idea, there are high chances that the company may sue you, claiming that actually that's a trade secret threat. You know, that's the leak of confidential information, and you're most probably bounded by your employment agreement and confidentiality clauses that you cannot disclose and moreover implement any know-how developed within the company. So that's the point within the company. Or if you can justify that this idea was developed separately, independently, autonomously, without using all these elements of company intervention. So basically, you worked on weekends during your vacations. That's your part of justification and evidentiary basis. Yes, so maybe court can take it as your own idea. Yeah, but very interesting that we changed the narrative in European patent system, that now the first to apply, the first to come is actually getting a patent. Yes, so that actually incentivize people to apply for a patent as a justification that they are inventors. Yeah, also as a tip. Hope I answered your questions, because it's a complex, and it depends as always.
Exactly. So if you have something very specific to your situation, you can always contact us and we will get back to you. I don't see any further questions at the moment. So I think that we can probably close the webinar, and yeah, I'll let you close, Maya.
Thank you. Thank you all for your attention. Good luck with your proposals.